5 motorcycles that I miss the most. What's up, everyone? It's Alex. Just going to do a quick look back today on the 5 motorcycles I personally have owned that I miss the absolute most. I've owned a lot of bikes, but there's 5 that really stand out in my mind as bikes that, if I could have 5, I would love to have these 5 bikes back. It's really pretty today, so we're coming to you outside. If the sound sucks a little bit, I'm sorry. Fight me later. These are the 5 bikes that I wish I still had that I miss the most. Number 1, my Victory Highball. You guys have seen it on the channel before, somewhat of a popular bike on the channel when I used to have it. I had a Victory Highball, typical flat black and white variety. Absolutely loved it. I miss it. That 106 V-twin was a killer motor, tons of torque, lots of fun, buttery smooth transmission, handled phenomenal for a large cruiser. I actually really liked the handlebar setup on it. Even though it was kind of like a mild ape hanger thing, it was really comfortable for my shoulders and everything, exactly where those bars hung. Really miss that motorcycle. Tons of fun to ride. One major complaint is it doesn't come with a back seat. I don't usually have a spare rider anyway, so that wasn't a real big deal for me, but I absolutely loved it. I missed that motorcycle a lot. I did get rid of that motorcycle when I got my GT650. No regrets there. I love my GT650, but I would at some point like to have a highball as well. Number 2, my Yamaha FZ O9. Some of you are going to know that as an MT-09, same motorcycle. I had a 2014 sparkly orange model. Mine had the distinction of being probably the only 2014 orange one with a black frame anywhere. It's because I actually wrecked that motorcycle and I had to replace the silver frame with a black one because there was a scratch in the frame and my insurance company insisted on replacing the frame. So I had a 2014 orange FZ O9. I loved that motorcycle. I know there was some controversy with the first 2 years of that bike as far as it having a really touchy throttle. People kind of complained about that. I didn't really find that to be a problem. I loved that motorcycle. Superb handling, amazing torque and throttle response, very flickable, very maneuverable, very responsive motorcycle. I know some people also complained about it having squishy suspension and kind of lackluster brakes. I found that for regular real-world riding around town, back roads and everything like I usually do, not on a racetrack, but actually just real-world riding, the suspension was plenty good enough, the brakes were plenty good enough. I did stiffen up the preload just a little bit on mine, but I did not replace the stock suspension or brakes. I loved it. I thought it was a great riding motorcycle for the price, for what it's intended for. I did not think you could really beat that motorcycle for performance, price, real-world riding, handling, etc. I absolutely miss my FZ O9 immensely. Number 3, my Honda CB500. I had a 1973 CB500 4-cylinder that I built from the ground up as a retro cafe racer. I absolutely loved that motorcycle. I missed that motorcycle. I sold that motorcycle when I was deploying because I didn't want that just to sit around for a year while I was overseas. That kind of sitting around tends to play havoc on carburetors, seals, and all kinds of stuff on those classic motorcycles, and I could not stand to see that kind of just sitting around and degradation and rot happen to a motorcycle I loved that much. So I did sell that motorcycle before I deployed. At this point, I wish I had it back. It was kind of a pain in the ass to maintain and keep up with if I rode it a lot because it's an old motorcycle and you do have to work on it if you're going to ride them a lot. But it was a lot of fun. I had a special attachment to that bike because I built it from the ground up and because to me it was like my own creation kind of. So I really miss it. I would love to have that back. My 1973 CB500 4-cylinder Cafe. I miss that bike terribly. Number 4, and this is going to sound really silly and goofy and stupid, and almost none of you are going to agree with me on this one. But number 4 is actually my Kawasaki Ninja 500. This was the second bike that I ever owned. It was an upgrade from my Ninja 250. I had a bright red 2008 model Kawasaki Ninja 500, and I actually really liked that motorcycle. It was not fancy, it was not special, it did not do anything perfectly or do anything better than any other motorcycle that I've ever owned, to be honest with you, but it was really good at a lot of things. For what it was and for how cheap it was, it handled just fine. It had enough power for what I was using it for, which was primarily commuting and long distance riding. And it had something that was really great for those things as well, which was for the size and everything and the performance it put out, it actually got really good fuel mileage. I swear I got like 60 miles to the gallon almost out of that stupid thing. It was kind of just a really good jack of all trades, beater, workhorse of a motorcycle that I absolutely rode into the ground and rode everywhere, and I could not kill it. Maintenance cost was next to nothing on that thing. It cost me almost nothing in fuel. The insurance was inexpensive. It was just a perfect example of a good, realistic, real-world, inexpensive, ride it everywhere, do what you want to do, but not be super fancy motorcycle. So I actually really miss having a motorcycle like that I could just beat up, throw around. If it fell over, who cares? Ride it until the wheels fall off of it. No complaints. Number 5. And this is actually, these are in no particular order. Number 5 is actually the motorcycle I miss more than any motorcycle I have ever owned, okay? You might be surprised to find out it was my Buell XB12R Firebolt. I had a 2006 Buell XB12R 1200 Firebolt. I loved that motorcycle. That motorcycle to me was the epitome of what I was looking for in riding at the time. It handled incredible. It was a little weird to get used to at first because it had some really sharp steering geometry and stuff in the front end, so the handling was very kind of light and twitchy at first, but once you got used to it, it was really nice. It handled phenomenal. It had tons and tons of torque off the bottom end, so it was really fun to ride with how torquey it was. Not the most horsepower in the world because it was a redesigned Sportster motor with push rods and everything, so it did not rev to the ceiling and it did not have the most horsepower in the world, but plenty of torque. I mean, the thing would go up to like 120 miles an hour, which is plenty fast for most people to ride anyway. If you're not on a track or something, like, what do you need to go more than 120 miles an hour for, honestly speaking? And the torque makes it more fun to ride at slower to medium speeds. I also thought it looked incredible. A lot of people are weird about the way Buells look. Some people don't like it. I loved the look of that motorcycle. Mine was black with the transparent amber rims on it, and I thought that motorcycle, to me, was just absolutely beautiful. I loved the way it sounded. I loved the way it revved. I had the drum exhaust on it, so it just, the V-twin, when it started revving up with that drum exhaust on it, was just incredible sounding. I had great times on that motorcycle. I would ride that motorcycle for long distances. For being a sport bike seating position, it was actually surprisingly comfortable for me. I put probably 30,000 miles on that motorcycle, and then Harley discontinued Buell in 2010, and I was absolutely scared to death that my motorcycle was going to plummet in value and I wasn't going to be able to get parts for it because I didn't trust Harley-Davidson to keep making the parts for it long term. So I traded it off for my first Z1000, and I liked that motorcycle too, but I really wish to this day that I still had my XB12R Firebolt from Buell. If I find another one at a reasonable price that's in good shape, I will get another one of those, and I will keep it forever as a collector's piece and as an enthusiast riding type of deal. I can't express how much I loved my Firebolt, and I really miss that motorcycle. I also had an XB12 Buell Ulysses, but I like the Firebolt better. That's it, guys. I wanted to take a quick ride today because some of you guys in the comments say I should ride more instead of answering so many questions, and some people actually flat out just don't believe that I ride at all, despite the fact there's a motorcycle behind me in every video. I want to take a ride today. It's gorgeous. I want to talk to you outside for a second, try out this other camera, and I wanted to just talk to you real quick about the 5 motorcycles that I wish I still had from all the motorcycles I've owned. Those are the 5 that I miss the most, okay? Get out there and ride. It's beautiful outside. I'm Alex. Peace.